Hey, well, it's 11:02, so let's get started. Today we're going to talk through newsletters. We're going to kind of high level, like how tips and tricks to create newsletters, where to get some of those resources. Then we'll kind of show you how to plug those into an email design and command, and then also a smart plan or an email campaign in command. So I'm going to let Amber start. She's going to talk through a little bit of how to find the content and how to put that content together.
Perfect. Kathleen, do we want to pull up the playbook or do we just want to start with the process?
You can just start with the process, I think.
Okay, perfect. So one of the first steps would be to pull up Canva and create any graphics that you want to design separately, but I'm not going to go through that. However, if you go into Canva, there's a lot of templates. You can just search all the Canva templates. There's a lot of newsletter templates that have pretty graphics that you can just start with, so you don't have to create your own. You can just kind of tweak what they have and make it your own. So that would be kind of a first step, is getting an idea and inspiration of what all you want the design to look like, and then putting in your content. Okay, so Kathleen, should I pull up? Oh, do you have your
Well,
screen?
yeah, I can. Where do you want to go?
So let's start with going into command. So you'll log in. And then the way you're going to design the newsletter is going to be in the designs section of command. So if we just go into that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click create design on the top right hand corner. And then email. And then these are the KW templates that you can look through, but I'm not sure if there's, normally you would just click start from blank, but you could look through what they all have. Those are just some examples. And then this is where you're really going to design out the newsletter. So for example, you can pull in the header and kind of some of the content you'll design in here, like the text with your, it will pull in everything from your marketing profile. But all of the pretty more intense designs you probably want to create in Canva, just because it's easier to make them more intuitive versus this part of the process. But see, Kathleen just pulled in the header, and then it will pull in the KW logo or Market Center logo, your picture name, all that stuff. And then when you select an image like she's doing now, this is where say this was your newsletter. The first one thing I'll say too is when you're in Canva, you want to create different pages and then download them as PNGs and then upload them like Kathleen's doing as an image. So this might just be one section of your newsletter. Maybe it's the header that says, maybe you have an ongoing name for your newsletter that's catchy or something like that. But you can pull in different sections. So then maybe you're going to do a recipe, or maybe you're going to do a featured listing, or honestly, you can really create this to be very specific to you and what you want your brand to be. But yeah, so right now she's just pulling in all of those different pictures. And then you can put in specific text there. You can change the background if you didn't want it to be just white. I think white works a lot if you're pulling in those Canva images.
So I just pulled in what we call a merge field or merge tag, and the one I chose is the contact first name. They're when you look at these merge tags, they're in alphabetical order and they don't really make sense. So it starts with agent information, then it goes to market center, and then the contact. Make sure you pull in contact first name and not agent first name, or you're going to call your entire database Kathleen, which I don't think you really want to do. So you can type your message here if you want, or if you created your text in the newsletter in Canva, then it would just appear on the graphic itself.
But that's a nice way to make it custom to their name if you want to, maybe you even put that on the top or whatever you want. But that way you can put in a little message on top of your graphics and everything. You can put in a button if you needed, like say you were doing this newsletter to advertise your Pi Day. You could then put in a button like Kathleen's doing to link to a Google form or whatever your RSVP platform is. You would put in that URL right there. And then you can make that button colorful. You can make it all kinds, you can make it bigger, smaller, all kinds of things. Register here. Change the text, the font. And also your photos can also be linked to, like those graphics can also be linked to a any kind of, yeah, any kind of web address, landing page if you have something built out, but maybe you just want them to go to your KW website, or maybe if that was like the featured listing, like you had the pictures of your featured listing of the week or featured trend of the week, you could link it to the Architectural Digest trends or whatever. If it was the featured listing, you could link it to your KW website to that direct listing to pull in all the information. So people are like, oh, that looks cool. Let's click on it. And then it'll go right to that listing. Or you could just do your KW address or URL, whatever you want to do. And then, so yeah, you could put in a video. There's all kinds of different things that you can pull in here. You see under content. But then that legal footer, like she's doing now, is gonna basically just pull in a little bit more content, like the brokerage address, phone, all that. And then have that little disclaimer on the bottom that you see there, which is nice because say you had just added a bunch of people to your database that you were sending this out via tag or something. You could then make sure that little disclosure and disclaimer is in there so that you're not like trying to market to someone that already has an agency relationship. And this is the actual background of the newsletter. So maybe you wanted it to always be your brand color or something like that. You could go ahead and do that. And you can see that hex color on the right, like she's just dragging like through the box there. But if you have a specific hex color that is your brand from Canva, or like if you picked a color on Canva, you can just copy that hex code from Canva so that maybe the background might match like that Keller Williams red or something like that. So that's a good tip and trick there, is just that hex code is the same hex color code that you'll find on Canva when you're designing stuff. Yes, and you can also put a graphic if you want it in the background, which you'd have to make sure that kind of fits and everything. But say you wanted a pretty picture from Canva that was like a stock image of, I don't know, like maybe you wanted a Thanksgiving one or whatever, like pumpkins, I don't know, something more like neutral, more soft looking. You could just pull in that picture that you pulled off of Canva from the graphics that stock photo and then put that as the background. So that might be prettier if, say, your graphics are just like white without backgrounds or more, more basic, simplistic things. That can be a good tool because it kind of does look kind of fun in the background like that. But yeah, so you just build this out with all those blocks. And then like you can also do different columns like that on the top, but I think one column is typically easiest, but if you really want to get fancy, there's different dividers and columns. And then once you're built out with all of those images and text box, then you just click save. Well, you would name it on the upper left-hand corner. So maybe you're going to name that like your November newsletter or whatever, November 24 newsletter. Then you would just click save on the right-hand side. And this is going to save it into your design templates. So once you save that, then there's two ways to do it, which Kathleen says that the smart plan is the least path of resistance. The smart easiest. But you can also a direct email campaign.
Yeah, so you can use campaigns. A lot of agents like to use campaigns because they have some good, well, not today. It has some good reporting on it, like reporting metrics of like, was it sent? How many opened it? Things like that. And my campaigns isn't working right now. But I'll show you how to put this in as a smart plan, which I think smart plans always kind of work most efficiently for me. The downside of it is that like they're really reliable. However, the reporting metrics aren't really as great. So if you're super concerned with like how many people opened your email, you probably want to use campaigns. I'm more on the boat of like, it doesn't matter how many people opened it. I can only control what I can control, which is the act of sending it. So when you think about what is your lead generation and how do you hold yourself accountable, you can't hold yourself accountable to whether or not people opened your email, right? But you can hold yourself accountable to whether or not you actually created the newsletter and sent it out. So that's why I'm a fan of just whatever means necessary, just get it sent, which I think Smart Plans is the easiest option to do so. So to create your newsletter smart plan, you're just going to come in and hit create. You're going to name it. So I just name it probably the same thing as the design to keep it all simple so I know what connects to what. And then in your smart plan, you can create multiple steps. So say this was like more of like a client event that you were building out. You could put in multiple steps that had combinations of multiple emails and text messages and reminders for you to make calls, that sort of thing. So you can really build out a smart plan into multiple levels versus campaigns are just going to always just be a single email that's sent. So you have to tell the smart plan what you want as your action. So for us, we want to send an email. So you just simply grab or click on it, hold, and drag and drop, right where it says drop a step there on day one. So on the first day that we initiate this smart plan, it's going to send an email. And on the right-hand side, it's going to ask us about the email that we want to send. So a simple email is one where you can just simply type in what you want. It's not going to look pretty at all. It's just going to be basic text functions. Otherwise, you're going to click on designs, and this is where we're going to find that newsletter that we created. So you're going to come up with a subject line for the email, which will be, what is the content of this newsletter? What's attention grabbing? So like that. Then you're going to click select design, and it's going to bring you to that design library, and you're just going to simply click on your newsletter that you just made. You have another chance to edit it if there's any final edits that you want to make. And if you're good, you can just hit save and close. And it pulled in that designed newsletter that I created. And then it's going to ask you, when do you want to send it? Because this is the first step of the smart plan, it's going to send on day one always. And then you can just hit add step. Okay, so now we have a simple email that's going to be sent on the day I tell it to. Again, if we wanted to make this and build this out for like a client event, we can add a delay. We can wait, I don't know, 4 days. And then we can, maybe create a task. What do we want to do? We want to call, maybe add a merge tag of the contact first name, space, contact last name, call for newsletter, whatever that is, right? So on day 5, I'll get a bunch of tasks that say call these people. Then again, I can add in some more time if I wanted to. And let's just say like I want to just send that email again. I just simply drag over the send email and just do the same thing that I already did. Maybe change up the subject line so it's a little bit different, but I can still just select that same design over and over again. And I don't have to make any changes to the design. Know that if you do make a change to the design, it's going to change it for every step that that design is added to. Just heads up on that. Does that make sense? So that's how you can build out a custom smart plan with your newsletter. Think to yourself, like, is a newsletter, just sending a newsletter sufficient? Or should I have some sort of follow-up from my newsletter, right? If you want some sort of follow-up, you can build it all into the same smart plan instead of having to think about the follow-up after you send it. Otherwise, you could just do a simple smart plan with just the one step of the email, send it and forget it. Once
Or
you
if
have
you
your
have a smart plan for like your whole, I mean, this might be kind of tough to do, but say you want to do 3 months at a time, you could easily pop in the first smart plan design, wait 30 days, and then actually design the second newsletter in a separate design, save it as the next month, and then wait 30 days and do the next email. So if you wanted to like get 2 months ahead or 3 months ahead, you could also kind of work it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so change this to wait 30 days, send an email, and then this one would be our December newsletter that we created. We would select the design, we would select that specific December newsletter that we created, and we could do that. So yeah, that's another great tip, is that you can build out, 2 or 3 or 4 months worth of newsletters at a time, put everybody on it, and then they'll just keep getting it. The only downside to that, just to be aware of, is that if people get added to your database and say they get added in December and you want to send them December and January's newsletter, you need to create a new smart plan and put them on the new smart plan. Otherwise, they will get November's, and then in January, they'll get December's, and then in February, they'll get January's, if that makes sense. But you can copy a smart plan. So once you build this out, you can then duplicate it and then just remove November from it, and then it'll continue from there. If that makes sense. Okay. So once I finish my smart plan, I just want to delete this step. Okay, I'm going to save. And then another thing here on the details of the smart plan is that you can add some triggers. So if you're building out a smart plan and you want it to automatically be assigned to people as they get added to your database, you can add a trigger so that as soon as you assign one of your tags that's in your database, they automatically get added to the smart plan. And then also you can remove contacts from a smart plan if they reply back. So maybe it was like that Pi Day information. As soon as they hit reply, then it would remove them from the rest of the smart plan. So you wouldn't have to worry about taking them off automatically. Just be aware though, it does not know if your contacts click like a link and like fill out your Google form. It won't know that they did that. So you would have to manually remove people from your smart plan when they do that. All right, so I'm gonna hit save and close. And then for me, I think the best way to bulk add contacts to a smart plan is through the database side of command, through the bulk actions. It's a little clunky if you use the function here in the smart plans to add, 500 or 200 people to your newsletter. So if you go to contacts, and if you hit this button to select all your contacts, then you'll see this bulk action box pop up, and you can select add to smart plan. You're going to select the smart plan you'd like. And then it's going to ask, would you like to start the smart plan now, or would you like to schedule it on a specific date? So you can think about, like, if you do build out in November, December, January, maybe you build 3 separate smart plans and you can schedule send all of those to say, like, I'm going to send my newsletter on the 12th of every month, just so I'm consistent. Or you can just start now and then just kind of ad hoc every time you make a newsletter, just continue to put people on. You're going to hit that you've read the TCPA disclaimer and that you're not going to contact people that do not want to be contacted by you. And then you can hit confirm. So I think the bulk action within contacts is the easiest way to send out a bulk email. And again, I like this a lot better than campaigns. When you're in campaigns, you have to like create an email list from your contacts. And I think that just really gets clunky. So I'm a fan of smart plans for sending out emails. There was a question in the chat, Amber, about Canva. The question was,
What size do you need?
what size do you need to make the Canva so that they're responsive and appear correctly on desktop and mobile?
Yeah. Honestly, I just use like a template from Canva. So I'm not sure, but I can double check on that.
I think if you use like the templates, like the email design template, that's a specific size. So when you move your Canva file into that template, if it starts to look weird, you're going to have to then go and adjust your sizes in Canva to kind of match that formatting in the email design. The email design itself from command is what's formatted best for emails, if that makes sense. So I would try, and I don't know if in that email design it gives you like dimensions or the best pixels to use. It might. We can look real quick.
Yeah, I can check really quick what these are, what I've been doing. Kathleen, also, can you send to 2 different tags?
You mean the trigger tag? I don't know. That's a good
Yeah,
question.
like, but when you were sending it to your entire database, I have like I have like a bunch of different tags, how I've segmented people, and like I want to send to like my neighborhood and my sphere, but not to the people that I have as like investors, for example.
Okay. So when you're in your database then, and filter by that tag first. So you can do filter, and you can use, if you go up here to advanced at the top, you can go, what am I looking for to filter? I'm looking for tags. And then I can do includes any. So you can do includes either the past client tag or the sphere tag. And so includes any is like the or function, if that makes sense. And so that'll filter out anybody that doesn't have one of those 2 tags. And then from there is when you can hit your select all and do your bulk action.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you don't want to send to every single person that has an email address, you want to just send to a specific group of people that are tagged, filter by tags first, and then select all.
And then when it comes up, there's because in those lists are contacts that I don't have their email addresses.
Mm-hmm.
Do I just send, it says there's like a thing that says send anyway? Is that's what I call check?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what the smart plan looks like. If it's just a smart plan with one email, just a simple email smart plan, I remove I hit the button that says remove. It doesn't remove them from your database. It just doesn't try to send an email that we know is not it's gonna error out. Does that make sense? So you don't have a bunch of errors in contact records when you go to look at them. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter a whole lot if they don't have an email address. It just kind of bounces.
Okay, and another question. So let's say I set up that newsletter for this month, and then next month I want to go in and I want to write new content for it. So do I just go back into design and edit that same document, or do you copy and paste a new one? How do you do that?
I'm a little bit more of a fan of like copying it. When you come into designs here, there's these little 3 dots right here, and you can just quickly make a copy.
And then you
Um,
can that one
And then you can go and edit it. So if you want to change up some of the wording or a link or one of the graphics that you have in there, that way, because this newsletter was already tied to a smart plan, and if I just edit it, it's going to edit the smart plan as well. So you kind of got to remember that if you're going to be like reusing a smart plan, is that it's going to change.
But then if you make a copy of it, it's already built out like your previous one. So you're just changing out like the content with the graphics and maybe a few things. You're not like having to rebuild all your headers and footers or anything specific, background colors, brand colors, like it, you're just kind of working with what you have and changing out for the month.
Okay, cool. But that way, so making a copy, then I still have to go in and redo all the smart plan stuff each month, which
Well,
really isn't that much, but all
yeah, and you're gonna want to do that anyways because you're gonna have to like re-add them to a smart plan. So I mean, I guess if you're not super concerned about like saving any of the past content that you have, then yeah, you can just edit over it and then resend the same smart plan over and over. You could keep it a little simple like that. Just know that like you're losing the past content, if that makes sense. So it's
yeah.
kind of just, it depends on how you want to manage it, really.
But if you're just doing a one email smart plan for that monthly newsletter, then it's pretty simple, like to rebuild it out in smart plans. You're just building.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, another one. There was a little function in there about add a listing, I think, when you were building the design. Can you show us how that works? I haven't played with that yet.
Yeah. So this listing block here, you grab and drop that. And then you're gonna go, so you can either like manually add in the information from the listing. So like delayed listings, you're allowed to market a delayed listing. It just doesn't pull information from our MLS. So if you have a delayed listing you want to put in a newsletter, you can just manually type in the information and add a photo. Or you can click autofill from listing, show all listings, and I think search by MLS number really works the best for this function. So if you just type in the MLS ID and hit search, it'll pop up and then you can add it in from there.
That's so easy. Thank you.
Yeah, so just remember delayed listings, you have to manually enter the information. Anything that's on the MLS though, you can choose the autofill and search by that MLS number. Because you see it's pulling stuff in from New York City, it's pulling from all over the country. So really MLS number is the easiest way to find a property.
And then you said that that reporting isn't as good in smart plans, but is there any, like, does it record opens?
Yeah, so it does. Let me show you the reporting. So the reporting's in the reporting applet here. It looks like a little bar graph on the left-hand side. So you go to your reports, you go to emails, and then here you'll see both campaign emails and smart plan emails. So you can change which ones you want to see. So if you just want to see information for smart plans you've sent out, you can. And then it's a monthly snapshot. So if you want to look at last month's or the current month. So it'll tell you how many you sent, how many bounced, how many were opened, were clicked on, replied, and unsubscribed. And when you click on view details underneath any of these, it'll tell you the email address that opened it and which smart plan was opened.
That's pretty good. Like that's pretty much all I'd ever really want to know. So
Yeah,
perfect.
the only thing I would really, I mean, I just like the replied will should go to your KW email. So if you see things in replied and you don't have an email, like check spam, like maybe call them and reach out to them. And then unsubscribed is something that I would just keep an eye on too to see who unsubscribed from your emails.
Perfect. This was super helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Amber, what were some of the places that they can find content to put into their newsletter? There was one that you had mentioned to me.
Yeah, so I had just recently pulled in some templates from if you go into Canva, there's a lot of free templates that you can work with. Otherwise, there is a website called Agent Crate that we have a subscription to if anyone would like access to that. That you also it's just another content real estate content website that you can pull in designs and they go right into your Canva. And so yeah, if you go into Agent Crate, anybody who would like the credentials to log in for this, just reach out to us and we can get you hooked up with that. But once you log into that, there is a template library, and I could probably show, if you want me to share my screen, Kathleen, I could probably
Yeah, go
pull
ahead.
it up. But then it just lets you, let me log in here and then I'll share my screen. Oh shoot, I have to change my settings.
Those Mac users, I tell you.
Okay, I just have to allow quickly. Okay, let's see if it works. Otherwise, it's telling me I might have to quit Zoom and go back on. Okay, it's gonna make me hop off the meeting. So,
Do you just want to, can you drop just the login in the chat here?
yes, let me drop the login, the website, and then the login for you guys. And when you log into it, basically on the left-hand side, there's a button that says template library. And if you click on that, you can just type in newsletter in the little search button that's right in front of you. Otherwise, it gives you ideas of like letters, newsletter, recipes, pop buys, Facebook cover. Like there's templates for everything social media wise, postcards, guides. Maybe you want to do some sort of guide for your neighbor, for your like niche area or whatever, local, all that stuff. There's tons of templates in there, but when you find something that you'd like to use, like you just type it in and then it shows you all the different templates. You just click use template and it will pull it right into your Canva so that you can easily just start with that. And then, but like I said, there's also website, or there's also templates on Canva. But either way, as far as size goes too, Colleen, I was looking and the ones that I started with were just 8.5 by 11 documents on Canva. But you can also, like Kathleen had just pulled in those graphics that were probably just like social media posts or like square posts on Canva. So you can really kind of, I feel like unless you're using something that's a super huge graphic or super small that's going to be pixelated, it's pretty like it's, I don't think it's super sensitive when it comes to sizing like that. And here's the login for everyone who wants to check that out. So yeah, Canva and Agent Crate for those templates are really going to be your best friend. And then also, if you just Google and look up newsletter examples for real estate. I'm sure you can find some inspiration, articles that you want to pop in, like local events, supporting local businesses. There's tons of ideas for content that you could, like client events that you're having, featured listings, all that kind of stuff. Delayed listing coming up, that kind of stuff. There's tons of things you could come up with a good content calendar for the year because it's only 12 months.
I have another question. It's a little bit off topic, but related, if you guys don't mind, and I'm sure you can answer it quickly. It's about postcards. If I want to send a postcard and I have my contacts are all married, or like I have the relationship set up in contacts, but I don't know how to send a postcard because someone told me that I had to go in and make a new tag for just one of the contacts so that I'm not sending each person a postcard. Is that correct?
Yeah, the way postcards work in Command is that anybody who has a mailing address would get it unless you only sent it to specific tags. So it would be best practice to tag one of the spouses as like postcard or something.
Okay.
So that when you pull in the postcard tag, it only sends to one spouse and not both.
And
Otherwise,
can I make the mailing address? Is there a place in there to say like to John and Jane Smith? So that the mailing label has both of their names, or do I just sending it to Jane Smith and not worrying about it?
Well, so postcards and mailing labels are two different things when it comes to Command functionality. So if you're just sending postcards to your database, it's going to pull in just the contact name on that contact record that you pull in.
Okay.
If you want to print mailing labels in Command, when you have the spouse connected, it'll merge them on a mailing label. So they're two separate things, if that makes sense. So the only way
It
to
does.
have like Mr. or Mrs. Smith on a postcard is if you then create a third contact for all your couples.
Oh yeah, no, okay.
So I would say it's best to just have it go to Jane Smith, and I don't think they're even gonna look at who it went to, honestly. They're just gonna be like,
Yeah,
oh, Kathleen's postcard. Like this is great, you know?
yeah, okay. And then is that another lesson on how to send a postcard? Or is it really simple? Like, could I just figure it out?
We have lots of videos on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, if you go to the
I think we
YouTube,
did it a couple of months ago, so there's a pretty
Okay.
recent one on there. Yeah.
Perfect.
you
Great.
can
Thank you.
search the playlist. So you can just type in postcard or direct mail postcards, and you'll get the most recent thing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, then I think that's where we'll end it for today.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for being here.